What's up, guys? This is Dylan Hodges from FIREKID, and you're listening to Recess with Spinelli.
You are tuned in to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, Hoxton FM, London, England, the International Radio Festival, and the New York State Music Blog. And today we are here with Mr. Dylan Hodges of FIREKID, the self-described metropolitan mountain music from Florence, Alabama. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Metropolitan mountain music, you said it best.
When I read that self-description about metropolitan mountain music, I guess it kind of does fit. Where exactly does that genre blending start?
It was a total mistake. It turned out to be a good thing, and it started off with me doing a cover of Gorillaz' Feel Good Inc. And I was playing a clawhammer banjo, and it was just a clawhammer banjo vocal version of the song, and it felt kind of empty. And just as a placeholder in the track, my friend who I was working with put Roland 909, just playing a beat behind it, behind the clawhammer banjo. And I thought, hearing the banjo with these urban beats behind it felt really interesting. So we explored it further, and it's what eventually turned into this FIREKID.
Now, do you know of many other artists who are mixing an Americana and bluegrass sound with more of an electronic and pop sound at all?
Avicii did a track with Dan Tominski called Hey Brother. He was exploring bluegrass with electronic influence as well, but it's slightly different. His leans a little bit more to the club side of things. Mine leans a little bit more to the mountain. His is a little more metropolitan.
Have you noticed at all an increased interest in the genre since you've been playing it since roughly 2013?
I have noticed a greater interest in the Americana genre. I actually referenced it on my album. I had really mixed emotions about the increased interest in the genre. I wrote this song called Americana Dream, where I talked about all these rock bands that discovered Americana music and started making Americana music because it became cool. And the reason I had mixed emotions about it is because I grew up playing bluegrass and caught a lot of flack for it from my peers in high school and in college. It seemed like overnight it became popular and a thing that people wanted to be doing. Whereas in the early 2000s, no one was doing it, and it wasn't cool.
So when you say you caught flack for it, people just never listened to any of your stuff, or was it like legitimate, like, hey, look, there's the kid in the corner playing bluegrass?
I mean, it was a little bit like, look, there's a kid in the corner playing bluegrass, but it was like everyone else was playing Wake Me Up When September Ends. Like, everyone loved Green Day. Nothing wrong with Green Day. Green Day's great, but it was Green Day, not bluegrass.
All right. Well, do you think that since the genre is becoming more accessible, it is making the medium more acceptable to a younger audience in a cultural way, maybe like a cultural preservation way?
I'm grateful that there have been some people like Mumford & Sons or Ava Brothers that have sort of paved a way for the preservation of a genre of music, but I've veered so far off that track. I wouldn't really consider what I do Americana anymore, so I've sort of had my own, I had my own identity crisis, and I could make music like these guys make that I've been making my whole life, or I could try and push the envelope, in my opinion, and make something new that no one's done before. And I'd rather push the envelope and make mistakes than do something that's already been done before.
To go back a little bit of your history, I understand that you won, I think it was a bluegrass guitar competition when you were 17. Can you go into some detail about what that was and how that propelled you into music as a career?
It's the weirdest thing you could imagine. It's a reality show. It's, if you could imagine toddlers in tiaras, but the toddlers have banjos. That's what my adolescence was. I was going to these bluegrass championships when I was a kid and competing against kids playing bluegrass music all over the country. And they also have all-age championships, and the national championship is in Winfield, Kansas, and it's for flat-picking guitar. And I won it when I was 17, really by complete surprise. It caught me off guard and caught quite a few people in that world off guard. After I won that championship, I decided that I wanted to think on a larger scale, and my goal became to take bluegrass music to a wider audience. That's what I wanted to do, because the people I was competing against were all in their 50s and 60s, and I thought, if I don't preserve this music and make it relevant to a younger audience, no one will listen to it. When I was standing on stage after, like, they'd handed me the trophy, and I thought, I expected this to be something I won when I was 40. I expected this to be a sort of a lifetime goal, or a goal, something I would hit when I was middle-aged. And it was at that point I thought I should start writing and concentrating on making pop music, really. That's what I wanted to do at that point. It shifted so quickly. I mean, it was over the course of a few months that I had to sort of do some soul searching. I want to make something that hasn't been done before. I want to make something unique, but also feels familiar. I also want to preserve a style of music that is dying, which is flat pick guitar. So it's all about taking acoustic guitar to places it's never been before and integrating it with music that on the surface you wouldn't think that it belongs together. I want to bring urban and rural music together. That's really my goal.
Now, actually, to clarify, how does flat picking differ, if at all, from just regular finger picking guitar?
So finger picking is a style that you could hear with Fleetwood Mac or Doc Watson. Or finger picking, on your right hand, you would be using 3 fingers to pluck the strings, but with flat picking you use a single pick, so that instead of playing multiple strings at a time, you're pretty much limited to 1 string at a time unless you strum. So you use just a pick. It actually started with this fellow named Clarence White, who came upon it by accident. He was forced to play lead in his family band, and he ended up having to take solos because there was a lead instrumentalist that had to go off to war, actually, and it was the first really lead guitar solo on an acoustic guitar, and he ended up passing it down to this guy Tony Rice, who sort of took it into not just bluegrass but also into bebop and whatnot. So it's really just lead guitar played with a plectrum pick.
As far as musical culture goes for where you're from, so we said that you're from Florence, which you are, which we clarified, but in a lot of biographies you are listed as being from Muscle Shoals. So what is the difference or similarities that these two towns share? How close are they? And what significance do they play in both your life and music that you play?
It gets confusing, but bear with me. So there's Florence, Alabama, and Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals is known for this studio called Fame, but Fame actually stands for Florence, Alabama Music Enterprises. Fame, the studio, was based in Muscle Shoals, but most of the people who make music live in Florence. Florence is about 2 miles from Muscle Shoals. It's just on the other side of the bridge. I grew up in Florence, Alabama, which is part of the greater Shoals area. That's what it's known as, because of the Tennessee River.
Now, actually, going on the Alabama theme still. So on your new album, well, actually, it's not entirely new anymore, is it? On your debut album, self-titled FIREKID album, one of the songs that sticks out to me the most is Die for Alabama and also Magic Mountain. The reason why those two stick out is Die for Alabama kind of seems to have this Civil War rallying anthem.
Die for Alabama is about people who are willing to die for a cause they don't fully understand. They don't fully, they haven't immersed themselves in. They haven't stopped to think about what they're fighting for, even for a moment. And Magic Mountain's about drugs. Right before Heidi here joined the band, I feel like maybe about a year ago, right after the record came out, my mentality about playing live shows completely changed. It went from this sort of serious alter ego character to just being comfortable and being who I've always been on stage, because that comes through more than anything. That's what people come to see. They come to see you, who you are. They want to see something they can believe in and they can identify with. And so now when I play shows, we just have a good time. We're just who we are. We're just playing our songs. People sometimes know the words, sometimes we have to teach them the words, but that's been what it's about, is just our identity, being who we are.
All right, well, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I love you guys. This is FIREKID signing off.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Appreciate it.
You have been listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, Hoxton FM, London, England, the International Radio Festival, and the New York State Music Blog. We've been speaking with Mr. Dylan Hodges of FIREKID. The debut album of the same name is out for purchase now.